Let's talk about the Los Angeles Rams. Right now, this team is 3-4, but they are a dangerous 3-4 team because now they're fully healthy. Puka Nacua was able to come back for the first time since week 1, and he looked like a superstar against the Minnesota Vikings. But not only just that, it's a lot of weird things going on with this team. And I do want to talk about it, but let's rewind for a second. I remember when the Los Angeles Rams went out there, they won the Super Bowl, and Cooper Kupp was the clear number 1 wide receiver in the NFL, led the league in catches, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns. Phenomenal. Went into that postseason, looked even better. One of the best wide receivers seasons that you will ever see. But the problem has been this. Over the last couple of years, he hasn't been able to stay healthy. How did Puka Nacua go out there and get majority of his numbers last season? It's because Cooper Kupp missed time. And even when Cooper Kupp was able to come back, Puka Nacua was still the number 1 wide receiver. And we saw this last night when they went against the Minnesota Vikings. Puka Nacua is the number 1 guy. And we fast forward to today. It's a lot of reports that are saying that, hey, the Rams are willing to move on from Cooper Kupp for a 2nd round pick, and they'll pay majority of his salary. I will say this. Cooper Kupp, when he's on the field, still one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. He is easily a top route runner in the NFL when he's able to stay healthy. That's the only thing that's working against him is his health. Age, you could say that as well. He's not that old of a player. And then you also look at the abilities and the things that he's able to do on the field. I think that they should hold on to Cooper Kupp for at least for the rest of this season. Him and Puka Nacua, they give you a true chance to win this division while Christian McCaffrey is out with the San Francisco 49ers. And another feather in this team's hat, they went out there and they defeated the San Francisco 49ers a couple of weeks ago. They did suffer an ugly loss against the Arizona Cardinals. I have more to say about that in the next couple of minutes. But when I look at this Rams team, when they're fully healthy with Puka Nacua, Kyren Williams, and Cooper Kupp, it's one of the best offensive teams in the NFL. Matthew Stafford had 3 passing touchdowns going into the game against the Minnesota Vikings. The man had 4 passing touchdowns in that one game. And he is still one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL from a talent standpoint. Matthew Stafford is phenomenal. And this offensive line is banged up as well. Steve Avila, he's on IR right now. And the same with Jonah Jackson as well. Those are 2 very good interior offensive linemen, especially Steve. He was phenomenal last season with the Los Angeles Rams. But yet the run game is still clicking with Kyren Williams. And we saw when Kyren Williams missed time last season dealing with an ankle injury, the run game did not look the same. That's why they drafted Blake in this year's draft class, just in case Kyren Williams was to go down. Kyren Williams is phenomenal. He's one of those talented running backs that you can put at kick return and punt return. But you don't want to do that because you don't want him to go out there and deal with another chance of getting an injury because he's already getting hit enough. This kid is the most talented running back that Sean McVay has had since Ty Gurley. He's amazing. He's incredible. Can catch the football at the backfield, can run in between the tackles, can avoid tacklers in space. He's a very good running back, and he's an underrated running back as well. I do think that Blake long-term will get more carries, but right now, Kyren Williams is the number 1 guy, just like how Puka Nacua is the number 1 guy as well. And I do want to give the general manager and the whole regime with Sean McVay a lot of credit. They have drafted very well. From drafting Steve from TCU, the interior offensive lineman, Puka Nacua has been phenomenal as well. One of the best wide receivers in the game. Kyren Williams. I think that Blake is going to be a star as well. Tutu Atwell. He's also one of those wide receivers that you look at, you'll say, man, he's not doing much on the field. Yes, he is. Had an impressive season last season. They use him as a decoy, especially in motion patterns. They'll have him running up the seam. And next thing you know, guys underneath are eating like Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. Or you'll have a guy like Tutu Atwell just take a safety away from his spot because they're worried about a corner route. And the next thing you know, Puka Nacua's in motion, wide open deep down the field. And those are some of the plays that you saw against the Detroit Lions in week 1. I don't feel like this team would have lost against the Arizona Cardinals if they had Puka Nacua, or they wouldn't have lost as bad. And they were dealing with a lot of injuries. Give the Arizona Cardinals a lot of credit for going out there and taking care of business. But if they had a healthy roster like how they do right now, I think that's a different ball game. But the fact that they went out there and they defeated the San Francisco 49ers a couple weeks ago, and that the fact that this team is now 3-4, that's scary because this team was 3-6 last season. They went on to win 7 of their 8 last games, and they would make the NFL playoffs. And I do understand it was a controversial non-call against the Minnesota Vikings. I will say this as well for the Rams. It was a lot of no calls against the Detroit Lions as well in that game that did not go towards the Rams' way. It was a lot of pass interference calls they did not have that the Rams should have had in that game. The referees have just been terrible over the last couple of years in the NFL. But when I look at this offense, the way that Sean McVay is able to call plays and move guys around, he's one of the best head coaches in the NFL. And he's one of the best play calling head coaches as well. I love what they have right now. Keep Cooper Kupp around. I know you worry about the injury history and how much he's making. You might as well keep him. I don't think that a team will go out there and offer you a second-round pick. But if they do, it depends on the team. Because right now, I do believe that the Rams, they have to take advantage of this window. I'm not saying that they're going to go out there and win the Super Bowl, but you have an aging Matt Stafford that is still playing very well. You have Puka Nacua, he's on his rookie deal. Cooper Kupp, he got paid a lot of money. Kyron Williams is not getting paid a lot of money either. He's on his rookie deal. You have Blake, who's a rookie. You have a lot of young players on this team mixed in with some veterans. So go out there and try to take full advantage of Matthew Stafford in the later years of his career. Keep these guys around. I also like the tight end position a lot as well with this team, with Kobe Parkinson as well. I think that he's been a solid tight end on the season. This offensive line has played very good with Kevin Dotson, Big Rob at the right tackle position, and Alaric Jackson at the left tackle position. And it's been very, very interesting with him because he was suspended for a couple games this season. But as long as you have those tackles playing very well, Matthew Stafford's going to go out there and sling the football around. Matthew Stafford's still one of the most talented quarterbacks in the NFL. When I look at this defense, it's interesting. Their rushing defense needs to be better if they want to make a true push in the NFC, because you're going to go against teams like the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. They're willing to go out there and just run the football down your throat. But I look at this defense, they're young. They're improving every single week. And that's what did them in against the Arizona Cardinals as well. Marvin Harrison went out there and had a day against their secondary, and then they started to run the football. These young players are getting better, and I trust their brand new defensive coordinator and Coach Shula to go out there and figure things out. Because when you go back to last season, Raheem Morris was with his entire tenure with the Rams, very good defensive coordinator. You bring in Coach Shula, you promote it within. Runs a similar system to Raheem Morris, but he's blitzing a little bit more. It's going to come down to their front seven. Because their secondary, they're young. I am concerned about their secondary, but they're up and down, in my opinion, because of the age. Kobe Durant, very good player at times. He's just very inconsistent, in my opinion. Still has high upside with this organization. You also have Quentin Lake at the free safety position. I like Cameron Curl a lot at the strong safety spot. You go back a couple of years ago, he was a superstar with the Washington Commanders. I don't think that he'll go out there and be one of the best safeties in the NFL per se, but he could be a solid player in that secondary. But when I look at the front seven, they're very young. You have Kobe Turner. This is year number 2. Last season led all rookies in sacks, and you could say he benefited a lot from playing alongside Aaron Donald. When you look at this kid right now, he is still one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL. He's a top defensive tackle. And it goes back into what I was saying earlier in the video when I was gassing him up about drafting guys. This is also a guy that they drafted. Homegrown kid. Phenomenal talent. You have Byron Young as well, who this team drafted. Very good coming off the edge. Always has had a high pressure rate over the last couple of years in the NFL. Then you look at Jared Verse. He's starting to bring it together. He reminds me a lot of Will Anderson in terms of the sack production isn't as high as you would want it to be, but he's bringing a lot of pressure off the edge. And now we're starting to see him bring the quarterback down. And he's been very good against the run. So they have those players up front. And you also have Braden Fisk as well, who was a college teammate with Jared Verse. I like what they have up front. I'm just worried about them when they go against veteran offensive lines because they are so young. But when you talk about the ideal fit for having young talent clash in with some older talent, this is it right here. And you have a coach that's proved that he can go out there and he can win a Super Bowl. He's been to 2 Super Bowls in his young career. Sean McVay is known now. He's established in the NFL. And I also look at the linebacking spot. I would like to see more of Omar Speights. I think that he could be a very good interior linebacker. Hasn't played much this season, but I think there's something there with him. Just give him more snaps. I'm not saying that he's going to go out there and be like Roquan Smith or he's going to be the next Fred Warner, but he could be a very good player in that linebacking room. So just give him more opportunities. But on the whole, I like what they have. They also signed Darius Williams and they signed Tre'Davious White as well. Those are just veteran cornerbacks. At this stage of their career, they could come in and give you solid production. That's it. It's really sad to see the fall off of Tre'Davious White because many years ago, this man was a top cornerback in the NFL, but he suffered a torn ACL and he's coming off a torn Achilles injury. And we saw what happened against the Detroit Lions in week 1. He was getting cooked a lot on that side of the football in terms of going out there and getting burned by guys like Jameson Williams. He still has juice to his game, but he's not going to go out there and still be a top cornerback in the NFL. But starting guys like Kobe Durant and Quentin Lake and Josh Wallace, that's the way to do things. And they can still learn from those veterans and Darius Williams and Tre'Davious White as well. You mix those guys in some rotational packages, I think that they'll be okay, especially in the goal line situations. Do I think that this team can win this division? I actually do. It depends on how the rest of the teams will look, but the fact that they went out there and they already have a leg up against the 49ers and they swept the Seattle Seahawks last season, part of that is because the Seattle Seahawks were missing their 2 top tackles. I think the Rams are going to be one of the most dangerous teams in the NFL. Just be on lookout for it. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you guys feel about the Los Angeles Rams and Matthew Stafford going forward? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, we want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. God bless. Peace.